good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates, guys. This morning we are talking about all that's happening with water management here on the island of Tobago. And to have that conversation with me this morning, I have the privilege of sitting and chatting in studio with Mr. Brian Williams, who is the head of the Tobago region at WASA, as well as Jiselle Webster, who is the manager of regional administration. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, and thank
Good
you.
morning. Thanks for having us.
Now, recently we saw the Chief Secretary calling for an emergency meeting with WASA due to, that low water distribution on the island, particularly on the western and southwestern side of the island. Tell us about what has happened since that call for that emergency meeting. Did you have that conversation? And out of that conversation, what has come out of that conversation?
All right. Thank you. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning. Thank you for having us. The need for the conversation, as you're starting a little further back, the need for the conversation arose from some challenges we have had, especially over the month of September, from an operational standpoint. The challenges have been exacerbated by the fact that the rainfall that we experienced in September is way below what was expected and the average for the month. So this resulted in the diminished volume to transmit, distribute, and some challenges on the operational side with respect to broken mains and equipment unavailability. The internal challenges have since been rectified, remedied, and we are currently running some schedules to get back up to speed. The meeting that was held yesterday was quite successful, and at the end of the meeting, we had a outreach, we had a press conference at the Colon River, where we would have explained and given visual representation through the independent media houses of water that we don't have. Right? At this time of year, it is uncharacteristic for the flows at the surface sources to be where they are. The conversation, while it centers around the Colon water treatment plant, is by no means limited to only the Colon water treatment plant. Colon serves 1/3 of the 20%, 1/5 of the population of Tobago, 16,000 people in that densely populated southwest region. Additionally, we have critical infrastructure, the airport, we have health centers, and the hotel sector. So the consequences of the absence of supply were unbelievably marked. The expectation and the intention of coming out of the interaction yesterday, a number of initiatives have been embarked upon, both operationally and from a customer care communication side. So I will speak to you on some of the operational issues, and Ms. Webster will speak to the communication side.
Right, and Ms. Webster, tell us a bit about when it comes to some of the major players on the island, particularly as it pertains to tourism. We heard from the minority leader that he heard or overheard a conversation of someone who was staying at a hotel and spoke about the fact that there was no water at the hotel. How do we treat with these major economic players, specifically in the tourism industry, when it comes to having those instances of major water shortage on the island?
What we usually do is that we have a very good relationship with all our hoteliers, and we channel that through, especially through the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association. We have liaised with them, and some of the technical officers also check their tanks and also have one-on-one discussion, and we have that relationship ongoing with the stakeholders, those tourism stakeholders, as it relates to the Tobago element. We also have on the customer response side, we also have the customer response unit. They usually engage with customers, they're on the floor, and they could call customers whether they need a truck-borne supply, as it respect to when schedules are usually failed. If persons as well, they can also reach out to the call center, which is 639-6850, 639-6853, or 639 WASA. And they are afforded a free truck-borne supply.
Right. So in these type of situations, you would expect that the top level management at the hotels will make an immediate call to WASA to get that truck-borne water supply to come fill in the tanks, because I mean this is a situation that you don't want to happen at all. You know, we don't want to be embarrassing the island, right? Even as it pertains to some of the projects that WASA had on the cards, there was the desilting of the Roxborough Dam,
Hillsborough.
Hillsborough Dam, sorry, and those other projects that were carded for Charlottesville. Are those things still on the cards now that there has been a shift in administrative policy direction because of the new administration at the central government level?
The need for these projects, a lot of research went into them and they were guided by needs analysis and a number of different elements. All these projects are still on the table, right? The the challenge that we have at this point, well, we are the edge of the budget, and once the projects have been identified, and once the financial year starts moving, it is expected that a number of projects are ongoing. For example, the Goldsboro Water Treatment Plant that is scheduled to be completed next year. And there are a number of initiatives, pipeline and treatment and upgrade programs that are expected to kick off and run during the course of the year to bring relief in a sustainable way. For example, the Hillsborough Dam, right? It is in the up and coming financial year. It is expected that works will commence to one, upgrade the facility by the construction of a totally new treatment plant. Two, the transmission line that leaves the plant and crosses the cross-country 12-inch line is expected to be, it's also included for changing and upgrading in size. For starters, there are a number of initiatives that are geared at one, improving and optimizing the existing infrastructure to ensure that we can capitalize and maximize on our abstraction on the processes from raw water abstraction to treated water transmission/distribution. Additionally, there are a number of key pipelines that are on the table in the works to be done. As an example, there is the intention is to upgrade the transmission capability to ensure that we can move water around between different systems, because Tobago is configured like that. We have a number of discrete, the Corland system, the Hillsborough system, the Richmond system. And in the past, one of the challenges that exists is that we might have one system with a lot of water, Richmond usually does, and a neighboring system where there is water staff, but the transmission infrastructure to move it from this system to the next was not in place, and that process is well on the way, and it continues and will continue in the up and coming finance 2025-26. And one of the expected outcomes is the ability to mass transfer water from as far as Goldsboro to as far as Crown Point, as an example.
Right. And I see that there's a temporary water supply schedule. What exactly is that? Explain that to me.
All right. In light of the challenges that have been identified and verified by the Met Office, the reduction in the amount of rainfall and the consequential reduced availability of these resources, we still are called upon to manage the resources that we have available to us. To this end, what we have done, we have developed, and as early as this morning, Mr. Webster will speak to it at some point, well, during the discussion. We have developed and published some new supply schedules that speaks to the delivery of service against what is available, right? The process, what is different about where we are at this point and what we're working on is that the expectation is that it could be updated every Friday or published every Friday, and part of that is so that the customers outside will have an appreciation of what the changes are and what the expectations should be, right? So the customer side of that is that we're now letting you know and updating it as and when what is available and what is your expected schedule so that planning can happen. The other side of that is that we as an organization, the people on the ground and in front, we will be looking at the delivery and ensuring that the information, providing the feedback to ensure that what we commit to deliver, we deliver, and any changes that need to be made along the way, because the supply is, until the rain begins to fall, the supply keeps the available water keeps falling away. And the expectation and the intention is to try to, in as real a time as possible, and in a coordinative, communicative attempt, try to speak to the people and get the feedback so that we understand what we're delivering and hear from you what challenges we have, right? That is the expectation as it relates to the schedule. And these schedules are island-wide.
Right, Ms. Webster, tell us a bit about the actual schedule itself. Does that mean these are the times that persons can expect to have pipe-borne water coming in the pipes, or this is the time where water will be passing around and just distributing extra water in your tank if you need? Give us an overall picture of what this temporary supply schedule does for members in the community.
Right, so if you see that the schedule says it starts at 6, it means that at 6 a.m. you will have that supply available to you at your homes. Tradition. Yes.
So that's true, the traditional pipes.
Through your pipes,
right,
yes.
Your pipes. So
through your pipes.
is this that so that persons can begin to prepare for how they want to manage the water that is supplied? Tell us a bit about that, and what are you advising? Is it that during these times, persons should ensure that their tanks are being filled up, that pumps are working? Tell us exactly what this means for how you should manage the scarce water resources that we have on the island right now.
And I'm glad that you said that, because we want to also reiterate that it's a collaborative effort. While WASA do their part, we as consumers, because WASA employees are also consumers, that we also do our part within our homes. And that means managing all the resources, the limited resources that is available to us via the schedule. So yes, conservation messages, when you're doing your laundry, when you're doing your shower, when we have a habit when we're brushing our teeth, we tend to leave the pipe on. Take it off, brush your teeth, you take shorter showers, wash with full loads. In the kitchen, the same thing happen. Also, when you try to not wash your vehicle every day if you don't have to. And those type of measures is what we tend to try as mechanisms to help us in terms of managing the water. And as Mr. Williams said, we are running the schedule or revising the schedule based on what the customer response unit feedback they are getting on the outside, and also what the technical officers are saying, whether they have missed schedules or failed schedules.
Right. And even as I see here, sometimes there may be a water supply that goes from Thursday to Sunday, or even Monday 6 a.m. to Tuesday 6 a.m. So what does that say for the rest of the week?
That's the day
that the water, you will still have water, but just the supply would be lower?
That's the day you will be receiving supply within that space.
Okay, so for the rest of the week, no water. We have to use the tank. Explain.
Let me see if I can speak to the schedule. What happens? The expected, if you look at the schedule, you see Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Yeah. So there will be 3 days. So Monday to Tuesday, because if you look at it, the schedule start to schedule end. Mm-hmm. So Monday 6 to Tuesday 6, Wednesday 6 to Thursday 6, mm-hmm. Friday 6 to Saturday 6 in the first instance. You would have raised a point earlier that I want to spend a minute with. The expectation, I just want to expand on it, please. If it says from 6 to 6, it's the valving operation, the internal WASA mechanisms, the machinery, will be doing what they have to do in advance to ensure that. So it's not that we put in all the water at 6 from a valving standpoint, because water is such, right? The hydraulics is such that you turn it on here, and there are a number of different things to happen on the journey from opening the valve to getting to the customer. So one of the things that will be very closely monitored at this point here will be the duration, the time you take in between the valving operation and a majority of the customers receiving a supply, right? I want to also say one of the challenges that we have in Tobago from a water distribution and a scheduling standpoint is the elevation, especially as you head east, right? There are customers on the flat and there are customers on the hillside. And invariably, the challenge usually is to get water to the more elevated customers, especially while the schedule starts and everybody using downstairs at the same time. Included in the process that we have rolled out and we're going to be managing very closely in conjunction with the customers is an identification of the customers at the extremity. For example, in Speyside, there are some people, the Edwards, and they live into the tippy top of Lucyville. And in sending water to Speyside, the challenge might be to get to the customers high up. The intention and the expectation, and part of this process will be the monitoring of the schedules and making a determination on whether we should, the 4, 5, 6 customers, getting water to them via the scheduled PD system might be a little difficult. So we identify these people and we truck to them as the schedule is in progress. So we're saying these 4 customers here, we have to leave it an additional 12 hours for them to get. We take them off it and we truck to them while the schedule is in operation.
Right. So for those persons who usually would still have difficulty with the water supply, either way, there's the truck-borne supply.
Yes. And we are trying to ensure that we have management data and information that speaks to what is in the given moment under the given conditions, because the conditions affect what we are able to deliver at any given point in time. Right? What is going on at the source, what is going on the system. So this is a collaborative effort amongst all the people producing the water at the river, the people who have to guarantee the reliability of the pipeline from by the plant to the people fixing the leaks, the systems people who have to do the manipulation to get the water to the customer, and finally the customer service people who will be making the calls and collecting the feedback and plugging that back into this so that we can make sure that the cycle in terms of a collaborative approach to ensuring, one, that people get water and information and / data about challenges that would have been experienced during the attempting to fill the schedule, we collect it and we do the necessary mitigating measures to make sure that we speak to it.
Right. And this is happening straight up until December, Christmas time. Usually that time when persons are doing all those activities that require them to have a steady supply of water. Is it possible that they may be returning to some state of normalcy before December? And how are we sure that this would be in December? Would there be a reassessment that may come and you might say, well, this has to be extended to April, or how? So talk to us a bit about that.
If the rain comes down while we're sitting here and the flows return to normal, we announce, listen, the flows have gotten to where they are, and we adjust this with you. So the process, the duration of the process will be driven by the availability, the atmospheric, the climatic conditions that speak to the availability and return to normalcy of the flows at the surface sources that at present is affecting our ability to sustainably deliver what we used to deliver. Right? There will be inconvenience, but because there are people who prior to now enjoy that 24/7 supply. And the challenge has always and will always be managing expectations. We're human. And after someone starts getting water 24/7, first thing happens is that the tanks go out of commission and other things. And you find that when that day is missed, it affects your ability to function the way that you have grown accustomed to functioning. So the intention is, one, to communicate officially now that changes are happening based on availability, and to two, tell you what the changes are and how they impact you. Finally, the third part of the communication cycle is to collect the information as it relates to the supply that was promised in a certain time, under certain parameters, to ensure that what it is met, and if it wasn't, we do what is necessary to tighten or slacken the schedule and put the mitigating and supportive actions in place, like water trucking.
Right. Ms. Webster, tell us a bit about where persons can find the schedules if they want to access the schedule. We know that we currently have these schedules uploaded on the Tobago Updates Facebook page. If you want to access it, you can go there and see it. But where can persons access these official temporary water supply schedules?
Right. As of today, the schedules are currently on our Facebook page. It will also be on our WASA website, which is www.wasa.gov.tt. It will also be available in physical copies to all area representatives within the Tobago region, and also the MP office for both Tobago West and Tobago East beginning from today. So all of them, most of them will have it already digitally. Where we have our teams en route. By tomorrow, all those schedules will be physically received by all the offices within the Tobago sphere.
Tell us a bit about the drive currently to make persons aware of this water schedule. I mean, we know you're here today, you're talking about it, but there still might be somebody who say, well, I had no
Never.
clue.
Right.
I never hear.
Right.
So what is part of the drive to ensure that Tobagonians are aware of the temporary water supply schedule?
Right, so that lies also, that's messaging, and that lies in the customer response unit and also our department, where we share conservation messages, and the customer response unit, while they are out there, they also share information as well. So we're not only doing it and we are by foot, and also through socials we are sharing the information and using the Tobago House of Assembly, schools, we in schools doing conservation outreach, and we also share that message with children to share. We also may want to ramp up our community engagement, which we will have done in the past. We want to revamp that exercise to ensure that the communities are well informed in a timely manner, in a transparent manner, as it relates to any activities as it relates to the Water and Sewage Authority.
Excellent. So those field officers are out there making persons
Customer
aware.
responses, and also on the operations side, we have the technical officers. They are tasked with that duty in different districts to do so.
Excellent. And Mr. Williams, even as we wrap up our discussion this morning, is there anything you want to tell Tobagonians as it pertains to how to manage the scarce resources of water that we have now?
Yeah. Good morning, Tobago. We find ourselves in a place at this time of year that is new. It's not new for us as Tobagonians, but it's new for us at this time of year. And it's a difficult sell to look outside and see everything green, and to see rain falling and seeing we don't have any water. Yesterday, the exercise yesterday, the visiting and standing in the river and sharing was an exercise to give some sensitization to the public to the challenges that we face. Notwithstanding, we at WASA are committed to ensuring that we do our best, to ensuring that we provide you with a level of supply that is commensurate with what is available, right? And equitable as we can under the given circumstances to ensure that we bring you a supply. Having said that, it is incumbent upon us all to do our individual and collective parts to ensure that we are part of the conservation drive until things, and maybe even beyond, until things return to normal. While on this side, we are ensuring we get the leaks down, optimize the operations at the plant, schedule and manage to ensure that we transmit and distribute as optimally as we can. Or each of us as citizens of the Republic have a responsibility to ensure that on the customer side, that the infrastructure and by extension the activities help assist in the process until we come across on the other side of what exists at this point. And for your role, which I'm sure is ongoing, because it was instructive to hear the THA and the reporters. It was instructive for them to see the responses when we went down to the river. Right? It was important to us as an organization to share that with you, the public, because collaboration is we could only do this if we do it together. So I'm asking that we continue to work together until we get on the other side of this, and until then, our doors remain open, and we expect that we will continue to keep holding our feet to the fire so that we deliver on what our mandate is. I thank you.
Excellent. And even as we close off the discussion, Giselle, there may be persons who have those water emergencies, situations that even though the water is off, there's a situation where there's a dire need for water. Can you remind us of those numbers to call for water if, possibly you have one of those commercial properties that require water between a certain time and there isn't any water?
All right, so our number is 639-6850 or 639-6853 or 639-9272. And most persons have my number. Most persons also have Mr. Williams' number that is shared publicly, that we can, like, let's say the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association, if hoteliers need assistance, they have the technical officer's number. They can call this call center, retrieve those numbers, and we will also be sharing those numbers with those key stakeholders so that they can, in those situations, they can be addressed in a timely manner.
Excellent. We want to thank you guys so much for coming on this morning and giving us that clarity as it pertains to the temporary water supply schedule and how you are managing these low water levels during this time. Guys, this morning we have a pre-recording that we're about to show, but after that we wrap the show this morning. So I want to thank you in advance for being a part of this morning's discussions. Thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing and continue to do to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Now enjoy our pre-recorded segment.
60,000 people strong.